Another NASCAR season has just begun, and Stillhouse Racing is hit with another massive penalty. Well, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Rolling About. I'm your host, Zach Moore. We are back for another video of NASCAR content. Hope you're all having a wonderful day on this late Tuesday evening. A lot of stuff to cover. Some big penalties that were just announced, not recently. A couple minutes from just recording this video. So looking forward to getting all into it. So let's roll. First thing I wanted to talk about before we get into the penalties, Hendrick Motorsports announced that the number 17 Xfinity Series car for Hendrick Motorsports will run 10 Xfinity Series races this year. All four of Hendrick Motorsports' drivers will be racing in that car in select races. Boris said, who used to race in the Cup Series a couple years ago, and then mostly he was more of a road course specialist, will race one race at Sonoma in the number 17. The rest will be the Hendrick Motorsports drivers. This is the list. William Byron will do Phoenix, Pocono, and Watkins Glen. Kyle Larson will do Circuit of the Americas and Chicago Street Course. Chase Elliott will do Charlotte Motor Speedway and Darlington Raceway. Alex Bowman will just do one race at New Hampshire Raceway. So all four of the Hendrick Cars drivers getting a shot in the Xfinity Series car. It's going to be fun watching them. If you're a fan of those drivers, you get to see your driver if you're going to any of those races that I just said. To see those your favorite drivers double duty should be fun. That Circuit of the Americas road course race is going to be stacked because you're going to have AJ Allmendinger and SVG already, and then you're going to add Kyle Larson, who's a very skilled road racer as well. Should be exciting. All 10 races will be sponsored by HendrickCars.com. It's just great. It'll be a fun time. Definitely something to look forward to when those races pop up. The first race for this car will be at Phoenix in about 2 weeks with William Byron. NASCAR's And Better Health 400 that was on Fox had a 5% increase from last year's second race of the season, which was at Honor Club Raceway, also known as Fontana, which is no longer a racetrack because they tore it down because NASCAR sold it for land. And also this race is up 33% from last year's Atlanta race. Last year's Atlanta race was the fifth race of the season, not the second race of the season. So overall, this is a massive W for NASCAR. To get this type of viewership for this race, the goal was that the viewers that were watching the Daytona 500 would hopefully have enough interest to then want to come back the next week and watch the Atlanta race. And it looked like a lot of that worked. But also, the race was unbelievable. So I think people that were just tuning into the race just to see how it was were probably very invested in the race and wanted to stick around. So to get a 5% increase from last year's second race of the season, and then also a 33% increase from last year's Atlanta race, is unbelievable. They had an incredible finish. This finish was NASCAR's most viewed clip, besides Ross Chastain's Hail Melon that happened. This race was number 10 on SportsCenter Top 10. In my opinion, a little low. I thought the finish deserved much higher in SportsCenter's Top 10, but who cares about that? But all in all, this is huge for NASCAR. Who knows if this momentum will keep up and we'll continue to see massive increases in ratings. I know some fans are going to say this is like a one-hit wonder, and it may be, but hopefully fans stick around and they're interested in not just, because this type of race that we saw, it's only for a couple races. So hopefully they're enough invested in the mile and a half and short track racing that they want to stick around and hopefully be, a full-time fan, if that's how you want to say it. But all in all, great stuff when it comes to the viewership for this past weekend's And Better Health 400. Now we get into NASCAR's penalties. There's a lot of penalties. I'm going to focus more on the Cup Series penalties. But the first one, Joey Logano got a fine for $10,000 for the modified racing glove. I'll show you a picture, but it looked like what the drivers like to do on these super speedway type tracks is they like to put their hand out where the window net is not covering the doorway. So they kind of block the air from coming inside the car. It helps with, getting rid of drag or keeping your car from going so slow. Well, they modified it to where it was like a webbed. So they had material in between your thumb and one of your fingers, and that's against the rules. You can't modify a glove like that. They made him do a pass-through penalty before the race just because of this. And then also, this is the addition of the penalty with a $10,000 fine. So nothing that big. There's no points loss. It's just, and really the pass-through penalty that he had really was not as big of a deal because there was a wreck on lap 3. So that really, he didn't go all one lap down because of that. And 10 G's isn't really going to hurt Joey Logano's bank account or Team Penske's bank account, whoever pays for that. So that was only one of the penalties. But the other massive penalty that was announced, so I believe it was on Friday, NASCAR confiscated the roof rail deflectors on the 41 and 10 car for SHR Racing, and most likely what that means there's something that NASCAR didn't like. Whatever modification they did or whatever they did to NASCAR, it was against what NASCAR rules are. They took them, and most likely that means a penalty's coming. It just depends on how big the penalty was. Well, NASCAR officially announced it. The No 10 and the No 41 car have been issued a level 1 penalty for improper roof air deflectors. The team has been assessed with a loss of 35 driver and owner points. So this is terrible for Stewart-Haas. But if you read into the actual article NASCAR posted about this, it kind of explains what they did wrong and what they were doing that was illegal. Part of the NASCAR rulebook, roof air deflectors must consist of parts outlined in section 14.5.61a. Additionally, they must meet the following criteria. Be constructed of a 0.05 inch thick aluminum. Be installed perpendicular in the applicable slots. Must not interfere with the functioning of the roof flaps and must be painted. So when reading this, I thought this was a NASCAR supplied part because all the parts and pieces for the next gen car are all built by another supplier. They're not built by the teams anymore. Well, actually, this part is actually built by the teams. According to Elton Sawyer, who's the vice president for NASCAR when it comes to competition, it's a team part, but it has to meet the CAD drawing. And in this case, it didn't meet that. So the team modified this part. So they built it themselves and modified it and got caught. So I don't know how they did it and how it was set up in the car. I'll show you a picture of what these things are. They're kind of like little wings that kind of stick out on top of the hood. It definitely helps with aerodynamics, drag. So they definitely, whatever they were doing, they were trying to help with aerodynamics because Atlanta, it helps. Aerodynamics are very, very important with building speed. So they got hit. Now it's weird that it was only for 2 cars. I guess only 2 other cars tried this. So I don't know if this was like a team decision. Hey, we're going to try it with 2 cars. They don't get caught, then we'll do it with all 4. And the thing about it is that NASCAR is going to tell. This car is so identical to every other car that NASCAR's going to be able to tell if you modified something. And this is just bad because it's this early in the season and they're already hit with a massive, massive penalty that's going to set both those 2 teams back. And most likely, people already had low expectations for Stewart-Haas this year, that most likely they're going to need a win. I don't think they're going to get themselves back in on points. If you look at where they are when it comes to this penalty, according to Bob Pockers, Priest now has 0 points, 36 overall, was 24th, 47 points behind 16th, was 12 points behind. Gregson now has minus 6 points, 43rd overall, was 29th, 53 points behind 16th, was 18 points behind. And there's no decision on whether or not SHR will appeal the penalty. It stinks for SHR, but they did this themselves. They were trying to be slick with this, and they're trying to find advantages if they could, but this is just too risky. And luckily, it was not a L3 penalty. I know last year Chase Briscoe was hit with an L3 penalty. L3 penalty is the worst because that actually, L3 penalty is where the team is modifying a NASCAR supplied part. This was just a team-built part that they tried to modify. So luckily, it wasn't not as bad where I believe an L3 penalty is over 100-something points. It's a massive penalty. It pretty much takes you out of really making the playoffs on points. So you're going to need to win pretty much to do that. I felt there was a little bit of a lot of momentum for them. They're new rebrand. They kind of had like a whole script or a whole lesson on what they're built off, their DNA. And they had a lot of stuff hyped up in the off season. I think they really believed in this new Mustang body. Who knows? That could prevail. They could start running really, really well because of this new style of Ford. This could all be the start of them officially not returning to Ford. They're in a contract year with Ford. This is their last year with their manufacturer contract. A lot of people are speculating where they're going to go. Who knows? They'll go back to Chevy. But they're a 4-car team, so whoever manufacturer that wants to resign them, they're going to have to deal with 4 cars. And that's also a lot of resources that one manufacturer is going to have to give them if they want to become a Tier 1 team. So who knows? Really stinks. Terrible for Noah Gragson, terrible for Ryan Preece. But it is what it is. They're going to have to dig themselves out of this massive hole. In my opinion, they're both going to have to win. I don't see them performing well enough to get themselves to... They're both last in points now, and they're going to have to somehow get up to 16th in points to make the playoffs. But we'll see. Well, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. Stay tuned to more NASCAR content. I believe my next episodes will be the preview for Las Vegas. Stay tuned to a bunch of different shorts from this episode. Really trying to do a lot of other content, not just videos. I do have my own TikTok. I'll link my TikTok down in my description. Besides that, guys, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.